All right, welcome back to the shipyard. We never start on time here, because who would? Also, I know I said we'd be back in 2 weeks. Surprise, we're back in a week. Why? Because a certain changeling needs a hearing from the captain before we can actually proceed with the rest of the mission. Uh, there's no
What? That's
disdain.
ridiculous. Surely he could just stick around, and there would be absolutely no consequences for everyone we bring on the ship.
I mean, it's not like Mikael should have had this same hearing or anything,
Or
but
second, or the Q cat.
okay, the Q cat's just a cat.
It was from Q. You can't prove that.
That is true.
I would love to see the cat in a courtroom with being cross-examined by the captain.
If we ever need to really diffuse the situation, we'll make that happen. And Mikael, yes, Mikael's resolved himself because in this timeline now he's a medical professional.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
I totally knew he had it in him.
yes.
This is totally not a surprise to me.
He
Definitely
received
not.
medical training, and we'll just say that he underwent an asylum hearing and was granted, and he's been a part of this crew, and all's good. Yeah, but that Q cat. It's not like you watch. Actually, Taffy was the Q cat and transformed into Mikael on the other Hadfield, and then sedated you, and yeah.
Yeah, that was rather rude, wasn't it?
I'm surprised you actually still like him after that.
You talking to the captain?
No, I'm talking to Yorin.
Ah, yes.
Which,
Yoren's a very forgiving guy.
yeah, I mean, Captain, it's not like you were murdered by Mirror Universe Tess on this other Hadfield or anything.
She had a sharp knife. She was cool. I mean,
yeah.
not the killing you part, just the
brandishing.
You know where I'm going with this, Captain. We Vorta are not creatures of pleasure, but I could understand how any solid would find that attractive. Yeah.
So I suppose this conversation is actually taking place in the briefing room, the observation lounge, the
conference room,
a conference room, any conference room,
around a big table with windows to the outside.
Yes. So, Captain, it is you, Yorin, Taffy.
Hello.
The Judge Advocate General Officer, Jeremy Bull. Yes, that's his name.
Like
Don't mock
the
him.
Cattle, or
yes, Bull, not BOWL. But please don't mock him. Yes,
depends on his haircut.
It does.
Captain generally does not mock fellow officers.
Well, yes.
Yorin would never mock fellow officers either, and is offended at the suggestion that might be the case.
See, Lieutenant Bull is one of those guys. You don't know he's on the ship until you need to know he's on the ship, and once you know about him,
too late.
It's all good, and then he goes back into the closet for a long time. Okay, closet's probably a bad choice there. He goes back into his quarters. He has other duties he does on the ship.
He fades back into the shadows.
Yeah, he's also
into the pocket dimension that we just happen to keep on our science vessel that nobody else knows about.
That way.
Have you been watching Flash, Will?
Is that a thing there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they film it in my city.
And they've been dealing with pocket dimensions lately.
Nice.
Okay. Anywho, yeah, he's a low-level science officer. He's an adjunct, but he's you're not directly his boss, so there's no favoritism here. and no conflict. So, plus, as when it comes to matters of law, he outranks everyone, including the captain, at times.
He has a more direct military authority, but he doesn't technically outrank the captain.
It's it's not a matter of pure rank. It's a matter of the job that he needs to do is part security, part legal representation,
part science.
But this is
security of the Federation.
It's security of the Federation. This is, it would make more sense for him to be a security officer, but on a science vessel, he's a science officer.
It's more political.
If he didn't know enough
physical.
science, he'd have no idea what we were doing here.
Yeah. This is very much a political posting. And yeah.
And he's sucked up real good to Sanvana's dad.
And Shelby. Remember, Shelby's your overseeing admiral. Admiral Solek's just kind of taken a personal interest in your mission.
Gotcha.
So it never hurts to have two admirals watching your proverbial back.
Exactly.
Anyhow,
twice the bureaucratic red tape.
So he walks in with a briefcase, because he's one of those guys.
Ooh, and, how 20th century.
He's 6 foot plus, imposing, clean cut, as all Starfleet officers are. Glasses.
Buffest nerd you ever saw.
Slams his briefcase.
So just think like Conan O'Brien with glasses.
Yeah. Slams his briefcase on the table and goes, "All right, Captain. We've got a matter to settle here."
Indeed we do.
Yorn sitting at the table next to Taffy, just eyes lit up, all aglow, and big grin on his face, and doing the little tapping his fingers together in the little triangle, like a Mr. Burns kind of deal.
With Mr. Bean playing in his head, going, "I'm in a trial."
A trial.
Captain, I'm sure you're well aware of the standard procedures. I know you know what's at stake for my client here.
Very much so.
And I'm sure you're well aware that this is a very unusual situation.
Nothing the Federation has not encountered before, just not commonplace, thankfully.
Yes.
Have we accepted Mirror Universe refugees before?
Nah. Case of Giorgio? Discovery, Giorgio.
He goes, Captain, how classified is that? Pretty sure that's still fairly classified.
Within the realm,
they're smiling. What? I don't have the best ears in Starfleet.
Within the realm of this room, precedent matters.
Of course.
It applies in this case. We all know how that turned out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Season 2, 3, 4.
He gives you a nod, and fair point. In fact, you're almost making my job easy for me, Captain.
That was out of character comment.
I mean, obviously, the JAG officer would not know what you meant by season 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
And the captain would not be wink, wink, nudge, nudging in character.
But the fact the very fact that you're mentioning Giorgio is enough to at least help with his point.
It neither helps nor hinders. It is merely history.
That it is.
Each individual must be judged based on their own individuality, not against the actions of others that have no connection to them.
Very succinctly put, Captain. I applaud you. Yorn's doing his little golf clap and looks around and wonders why no one else is following along.
Lieutenant Yoren, this is a trial. We can appreciate the eloquence of the captain, but clapping might be a bit much.
I apologize. I was merely very, very pleased to be here and participating in this wondrous example of surefire and efficiency and
right,
yes, we understand.
Back on track.
Now,
Mr. Bull,
yeah.
present your case.
Well, first I'd like to start with the procedural matter. My client, Taffy here, was questioned by your security officer and the counselor without legal representation present. And while such is the right, my client is unfamiliar with his rights in
quick
full.
timeout. I'm confused here. I was under the impression that JAG would be more prosecution perspective, and Yorn was sort of playing the defensive side.
That's what I thought too. But hey, Yorn is pleased as punch with this too, to have someone else on his side.
Lieutenant Bull is trying to make a fair case.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would say it wouldn't be so much.
He's doing it from all angles. He's not one side or the other.
Yeah, I wouldn't be saying client then, because that definitely denotes an affinity or a perspective that would be a little biased.
The defendant.
So if he's playing, because it's not even a trial per se, because he's applying for asylum.
It's a hearing,
right? So the Judge Advocate General should ideally be playing for the Federation's interests, not the so-called client or plaintiff or whatever.
All
right. So
the defendant,
the person in question, because he's
the
not
applicant
defending against anything.
The applicant. There we go. I like that. The
replicant. Oh wait.
Whoa.
6 or 7.
The applicant was questioned.
Yeah, we already have the data's hearing. Yeah.
Yes. And the context of what was said is perhaps damning to his case. But without being allowed any form of legal consultation, is that truly admissible?
Sorry, repeat that, but cut out. Is
it truly admissible?
Well, this is...
Yorn stands up and pounds his fist on the table. It surely is not. He looks around for confirmation.
The validity of the applicant as a being worthy of being part of this hearing is not what's in question. The character and the future of Taffy is what it is on the table today.
Oh, I agree, Captain. You see, we know very much about one alternate universe in the realm of many alternate universes. We know very little about the alternate universe that this Taffy comes from.
Indeed.
He could prove to be very valuable in adding to our information. Should we ever encounter a situation where we interact with that universe again?
Yorn nods knowingly. That's very true.
The mere fact that there was a Changeling civil war is highly interesting.
That is definitely an important case that warrants further study.
Taffy actually speaks up and interjects. While I appreciate the sentiment, I feel naming the Civil War, which decimated half my planet, as interesting might come off as a little insensitive, if you don't mind.
Well, I mean no disrespect to your culture, sir. I merely mean that from a historical, a scientific perspective, to be able to learn about an event that was similar to something that took place in our universe but played out very differently would be an opportunity to learn.
And depending on who we interact with in that reality, it may be a revolving door where we could share information for mutual benefit if we deem it safe, so to speak.
Taffy kind of leans back and forth because, of course, the whole kind of having a revolving door back to his alternate universe where everyone was at war is not exactly appealing to him.
Let me clarify. I was not meaning that in a literal sense, but more in the passing of knowledge. Bidirectional, not travel. And determining your side in the situation is only a part of what we're coming to determine here.
Of course. I just hope you can understand if I seem reluctant to reopen relations with my former universe. I'm sure you can understand that's why I applied for asylum here in the first place.
Indeed. Although not to worry, the likelihood of you having to interact with that, should that happen, is very slim.
No, Captain, I'm sure you're familiar with Constable Odo.
That I am.
That is our only precedent for a changeling interacting and living amongst humanoids for a long period of time.
At least
peacefully.
At least with full knowledge.
Yes.
In the forefront.
Yes.
So not talking infiltrators.
And there were a great number of infiltrators during the Dominion War. That is,
and aside from that, there are a great many of changelings that were sent forth throughout the galaxy that we still are unaware of. We discovered the one that had learned to fly in space in their own form.
Yes.
Odoin encountered that. So there's a great many out there that we do not know. And we have yet to encounter. But the question at hand is this one. The biggest concern is being a changeling, once they're out of sight, we have no way of tracking or being sure of who's who. So trust is going to be a very important commodity earned here.
And as much as it concerns me, this initial questioning, and he picks up the transcript of the questioning between Taffy and the chief, or the security chief, Tolek, and Counselor Sanvana. And he holds it in his hand and he goes, this shows the start of trust, but also cause for concern. It shows lying, manipulation, but it does show that the applicant is willing to do the right thing eventually. kind of both sides, Captain.
Well, one does often turn to deception when their life is at stake. So it's a matter of determining, once that threat is gone, how will Taffy's behavior demonstrate itself.
And to be fair, Taffy has been very cooperative. He's made no attempt to circumvent our security, to break out, to access any restricted files, to order anything dangerous from the replicators. He's complied with every wish of security. That speaks to something.
Mm-hmm.
Yor nods his head with a smirk. That's my client, all right.
But Yorin, I have your mission report from the other Hadfield. This shapeshifter appeared as a cat in your quarters.
Oh, yes, and an impeccable cat he was.
Then transformed himself into Mikhail, our doctor. So, impersonating a Starfleet officer. Gave you a cocktail of drugs that numbed you from the neck down and left you lying on the floor? Is any of that wrong?
I believe you missed the burning of mildly poisonous plant matter as well, which also contributed to my unconsciousness.
He reads through the report. Yes, I see that there. Yeah, that will do it.
To be fair, may I address the applicant?
Feel free.
Yes. Taffy. Now, this I believe was not really brought up in the line of questioning you had earlier, but how did you manage to come aboard the Hadfield in the alternate universe in the first place?
Well, that is a very long story. And I feel that it's not going to help my case, but I'm going to give you the full story.
Proceed.
I was sent to infiltrate the Hadfield.
Aha!
To learn.
Hold your comments.
To see if the crew of the Hadfield in my universe could be an ally. My side was losing the war. My side being the side that did not side with the solids.
Mm-hmm.
I just used the word side far too many times there.
That's all right. Solids have many sides.
He kind of chuckles. I had just started my recon. In fact, impersonating the cat, of all things. Because who distrusts a cat? They are by nature finicky creatures. They go where they want. But I digress. The cat gave me the perfect cover. I could go almost anywhere I want, and no one would think anything of me. I was just a cat, meandering throughout the ship, exploring, learning. And then all of a sudden, I found myself on what I now know to be a different Hadfield. And when all that I knew was different, when I finally understood what was going on, that's when I reached out for your help, Yoren.
Precisely. So I would like to say that in this situation, that could have easily been conceived of as surrounded by potential enemies, and then followed by an event that caused complete chaos in the ranks. That what kind of reaction could you have had if not, but even just the slightest bit of panic? Would you not say so, Yaphet? Taffy. Damn it. I contend that this psychological reaction is even further proof that he is closer and more understandable to us solids than most of the other changelings we have already seen combined. Yorn folds his arms together, gives himself a nod, like he's come to an inevitable QED conclusion. Looks very pleased.
If you have more to say, Taffy, do continue.
Yorn, I don't think I ever said this to you, but I am sorry for temporarily paralyzing you.
As a studied doctor myself, I am well aware of how precise you have to be with certain medical concoctions to ensure paralyzation or unconsciousness rather than death. And the fact that not only did you have that expertise, but you used it to continue in a non-lethal fashion has my respect, sir.
In my universe, the Vorta, the entire Vorta, sided with the solids in our conflict.
Oh.
Civil War
confused. This was something he definitely did not consider.
More apropos context. How did the Jem'Hadar react?
We had enough white to keep them placated for a while. A long enough while to make the fight take a time. Enough time for us to disperse and make it difficult to be hunted. Basically, we had to use the Jem'Hadar as distraction. It wasn't our first choice, but the Jem'Hadar can be bred again. We all remember the cloning secrets. We made sure that we memorized the science tech behind it. We just need the facilities to do it.
Then, given that the Vorta are done in a similar manner, how was it you were not able to keep them under control? Were they all simply genetically flawed in their loyalty?
Bjorn speaks up. Sir, while I understand and appreciate the line of reasoning, is not information gathering our secondary concern compared to the asylum request of this being?
I'll answer
it's context.
The Vorta. You have to remember, Captain, some changelings were on the other side. The Vorta were loyal. They just chose the other changelings.
Understood.
So there was nothing wrong with their coding, as you put it, their programming.
Just as I read about Wayun 6.
They simply made a choice. And we allowed them enough wiggle room in their coding to make those choices.
So, was there a particular ideal or platform or concept with which that drove the initial wedge between the changelings? Between those that sided with the solids and those that remained?
None that I was ever aware of. As I spoke to in my transcript, eventually, I was never presented with any options. I never knew anything other than harmony within the Great Link. So if there was something else, it happened above my knowledge.
I find it very odd that you would seem so oblivious to what is going on when you state quite clearly you were part of the Great Link. The only two things that present themselves to my mind is one, that you are lying, or two, that they were intentionally withholding this information from you, which is, from all reports, extremely difficult to do within the link. So if you are indeed telling the truth, which I hope is the case, then it would have taken a great number of the other changelings to have the power to deceive you for so long.
It's also very possible that there was a group of changelings that was forming their own link elsewhere.
And not returning to the Great Link.
Yes. Because if they never returned, we would have never known anything.
That's indeed possible.
Because you're right, Captain. Everything within the link is shared. It is virtually impossible to hide knowledge.
Yeah, virtually. We have gotten reports back from Odo himself where it has occurred, but indeed a challenge.
But something as big as a civil war, a coup, some hint of it, some inkling, some hint would have manifested itself. Not every changeling could have kept all of that secret from all of us.
I find that likely for the changelings siding with the solids. I find it very unlikely for, pardon the term, patriotic changeling to keep that from the Great Link. If anything, that would be the place to share that knowledge. So pardon me for saying so, but I'm having a really hard time believing your position on this.
Is it so hard to fathom that there was a rogue element that met in secret that never talked to us about anything and blindsided us?
Well, given the context of our universe, that is extremely hard to believe. The Great Link is the one that represents the changelings of the Dominion, the front line, the core. How is it different in your universe?
Well, what I've read very briefly about your universe, it seems as though we had an element not unlike your Romulans Tal Shiar, a group of changelings that operated essentially in secret. Not the same as a spy organization, but they acted covertly. They had their own oversight. They acted without the knowledge of the rest of us.
Sounds like a spy organization to me.
Or perhaps like your own
That's
Section
semantics.
31.
How do you know? What do you know of Section 31?
Just the hints of what I've read. Remember, your first officer, Tess, she provided me with a little bit of reading material. Some classified, some redacted documents, enough so I would understand a bit of this universe's history.
I shall be having a conversation with Tess in the near future. Very near future.
It was very redacted, Captain. There's nothing secret here.
The mere mention of the supposed Section 31 is not something that would be handled lightly, especially in a consideration like this where you'd not already been vetted. So if this is something down from Shelby or just Tess herself, if that was the case, this hearing would be meaningless. All this has done is to raise my doubts even further. I am much more concerned hearing this.
All I did was read what was presented to me.
I understand. This is not so much a concern for you as the situation.
Had quite a lot of time on my hands.
Indeed. We saw to that.
Well, I'm not complaining, Captain. You've treated me fairly. I've been treated quite well here.
Hospitality on the Hadfield is at a premium.
If the rest of my life was spent on board this ship in these quarters under locked guard, I would be a happy creature.
Is that a suggestion?
It is merely a statement. It is saying that life here is significantly better than sending me back.
Indeed. Well, sending you back is pretty much a death sentence.
And from everything I've read and observed of your crew, you are not ones to send a person to their death.
No, that is certainly not our way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Captain, well, I do not know your personal history with the Dominion, with the Changelings. I was not a part of that Dominion. I don't know that I could have ever done anything to change the minds of that Dominion. But Captain, I don't seek to interact with the Dominion. I would be perfectly happy never seeing another changeling in my life. Though the thought of meeting your Odo does intrigue me, but that would need clearance and many other things. That's neither here nor there. Just saying he seems like an intriguing being.
I think given what we currently know and what we do not know, I think in order to make a final decision on this, I would like to recommend a joining between you and Odo, if that is something that we can arrange. I think only then can we truly know if we can trust you.
If the constable's open to it, I have no objections, Captain.
You're asking for something very personal, Captain. The changelings I know were very... Well, let's leave that for something else, another time.
Yeah. Odo himself was very reserved and was not keen on such contact until he had finally decided to join the Great Link and take over for the founder leader that led during the Dominion War on our side. He has changed since then. You could say he's a much more open individual. But that is something that Starfleet and Odo of the Dominion need to make a call on. I can merely make the recommendation.
And of course, this would not be a requirement of your asylum because, and he kind of glares accusingly at the captain. We do not require all of our asylum seekers to be mind read or mind melded or whatever, whatever would allow us to trust someone at the sake of completely destroying their privacy. We're not a police state, after all. This isn't Cardassia.
I am merely offering an option. It is not something that I am passing judgment on. This is something that both Odo and Taffy would have to agree upon. But until such clarity is reached, I could not place my entire faith in this situation or in Taffy without some significant history between us. There's just too many variables at stake here. And unfortunately, while it is not a cultural racial issue, it is more a biological capability issue of what Taffy is capable of. And without that trust, I don't see how we can allow Taffy to roam freely within the Federation. And containing a changeling has definitely been a challenge throughout history, but it is possible. So, worst case scenario, asylum can be granted, but I cannot promise the same care that is given aboard this ship if we send you away.
Lieutenant Bull looks at you, says, well then, Captain, what do you recommend doing with him until we can get a hold of Odo?
Well, given my moral stance, my ideals with the Federation and other cultures, I think the best course of action would be to hold Taffy here aboard this ship to ensure that proper care is given, that no judgment is individually passed, no mistreatment, and then we wait to see what happens.
Jorn has his head pops up just a little bit. It's like, oh, I see what's going on here, but then but keeps it to himself, of course. Good work, Captain. Good work. Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
And Captain, if we can't get a hold of Odo, or if he refuses, then what?
Well, then an extended stay may be in order. And a different location, but for the time being, Taffy will be held here aboard the ship, aboard the Hadfield. And if such information is brought to light that we cannot proceed further, then we will have to remand you to Starfleet authorities. But I see no reason not to grant asylum, given your safety being at risk. But your position here in our universe, let alone the Federation, is still yet to be determined.
Fair enough. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate your time, your thought, your care in this matter, and I will do everything I can to continue to justify your faith in me and to hopefully start to earn your trust.
I appreciate that. I look forward to getting to know you better.
And I hope to not present an an issue where you need to spend your valuable time interacting with me as long as we have here.
I believe I know what you're getting at.
But if we happen to pass each other in the hallway, then that will be a good thing. And until then,
Well, for the time being, you're not going to have hallway access. You are going to be restricted. And I will be coming to see you from time to time.
well, fair enough.
Oh, and I thought you guys were having a moment.
Mr. Bull.
Yes, Captain.
I would like you to remain connected to this case. I will open the lines of communication for you where you need it, but otherwise I'd like you to be the liaison here for Taffy during his stay aboard the Hadfield.
Understood, sir.
Thank you. Are there any other points to discuss?
Nothing from me.
The orange is humming along happily.
Yarn, are you satisfied with the proceedings? Anything else you wish to add?
Oh no, I feel this was an impeccable decision, Captain. And and I know that we will certainly not regret it.
That is my hope as well. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. This hearing is adjourned. Thunk.
All right. Then let's have you make a roll about
What? Rolling?
how well things with Odo are going to go.
Care to roll for me? I don't have anything handy.
Oh, sure. Since
We're rolling in space. Rolling.
oh, do you have any? I don't know. Do you have any foci that might help?
Diplomacy, negotiation.
I mean, technically, at this point, Odo is the head of the Dominion. So.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Odo's in charge of the Dominion.
Yep.
What? Not
At
even
the end of Deep Space Nine, he returned to the Great Link to take control of the Dominion, to lead them into the future, to help them find a better way.
President Odo.
Initially, they basically receded from all Alpha Quadrant dealings, and in our extension, I would think that he has since reached out. I do believe there was some hint or mention in some pseudo-canon that Odo has reached out. They're starting to work their way back in.
Yeah. And I'd say this would definitely intrigue him.
Mm-hmm. It might be further means for diplomacy between us and our universe's new Dominion.
Yes, so this will be a presence command role. Because if this isn't presence command, I don't know what is.
Right?
This is definitely your presence and command, which gives you a 14. And I will let your diplomacy focus. It's either your communications or your diplomacy focus happen.
Sure.
It's one of the two. It's kind of a combination of the two.
Yeah.
So he should get double the crit rate.
I'll bump your crit up to 5.
What? Oh, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind.
All right. Hey.
3 20s.
No. An 8 and a 5, and that 5 is now a crit. So there you go. That's what you needed. You had to succeed and get a crit.
Beautiful.
So it turns out that Odo is not in the Gamma Quadrant.
What?
Odo has actually been doing a bit of a diplomatic tour.
No
A
doubt.
very secretive diplomatic tour. Just kind of testing the waters.
I imagine Kira is somewhat involved.
Kira is a Vedic on Bajor right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm sure she is super pleased about it.
Hey, you want to know who's in charge of Deep Space Nine?
Is it Quark?
No.
Oh wait, we want to take
Nog.
Laren.
Ah. Yeah.
The person who
The
always
original
should have been
Kira.
there from the start. Yes.
Right.
I remember that.
But Ro Laren is commanding DS9 right now.
Perfect.
And you were worried about our Changeling having problems.
And that is Federation Captain Ro Laren, everyone.
Wow.
Anyways, he happens to be just a few light years away from your position.
What? That's crazy.
And as part of this diplomatic tour, he is very intrigued to meet Taffy. And he's not agreeing to a melding at this point, but a linking.
A meeting.
But he will meet and go from there. He's not ruling out a linking, but he wants to meet first.
Sounds very reasonable to me.
I mean, he deserves at least dinner and a movie first. I mean, come on now.
Odo was never much of a movie guy.
Poor Kira.
Odo did like jazz, going to Vic's.
I think the biggest issue with changelings in movies is more the popcorn. Just its irregularity. It's just to consume popcorn. It's just heebie-jeebies for a changeling.
What do you do with it? Like, how do you get around it?
Well, humans can't digest corn, so how is a changeling supposed to?
I know.
Well, changelings don't digest anything. He would have seen this great mass of strangely contoured shapes for eating as something else he could turn into.
Well,
And the angles.
I mean, a changeling trying to transform into a bucket of popcorn, that's like the ultimate test.
Oh. Ooh, challenge accepted. Wait, what? Odo says, "I'll be in my bucket." Pop, 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 pop,
pop. Nice. Okay, so since we're on this, I have a great plan for all of this that ties into everything we're doing. So we're going to flash forward a day. Odo's going to board the ship. Going to interact. Yes.
Cool.
Because we're on a roll real quick. This is going to take like 15 minutes.
Gotcha. Let's do it.
And
okay, good.
Hopefully we're going to be out of here. So, Odo boards the ship, comes on with him and one Vorta assistant.
Do I know this Vorta assistant?
You remember?
We all look the same.
No,
Kalana?
Is it her? It's her. It's female.
Yeah, Kalana? Or the other one?
I'm pretty sure it's the other one.
The one that negotiated for the changeling that was aboard the downed Jem'Hadar ship?
It's Luaren.
Luaren. Okay, that one.
It's
Reduce
Luaren.
any Dominion upgrade cost by 2.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Luaren. So, he comes on board with Luaren. The next model of Luaren.
Only the captain and Yoren are present to receive.
Okay.
This is a secret after all.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly
Bo
secret.
will currently be with Taffy.
Yes.
Where we're meeting them.
I mean, Odo's a secret, isn't he?
The fact that Odo's around, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I should say, Odo is not on a Dominion starship. He's on a Bajoran starship.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of, he's on a goodwill tour with Bajoran
How's he dressed?
work. He's in kind of the pantsuit version of the Changeling leader uniform. So
Gotcha.
think the outfit that the female Changeling had, but
the male
pants.
version.
Yeah, but pants.
He's not in his old Bajoran in military.
No, he's not in the constable uniform.
That's the one.
Just
that
basically
would be
neutral garb.
Yeah.
Nothing too descriptive.
Yeah, kind of bluish gray. Kind of a slate.
He's not decked out like a Vedic.
No. If you didn't know he was Odo, you wouldn't think he was important.
Gotcha. Fairly nondescript.
In fact, you would think that Luwarin was the important one here.
Mm-hmm.
Think Phantom Menace, where the real princess is one of the handmaids.
Yeah.
All
right. So they're beaming aboard.
Yes. And they beam aboard.
Welcome to the USS Hadfield. I'm Captan Rohn. This is Security Officer Yoren.
It is an honor to meet you, Founder. Is that the proper way to address you now?
Mm-hmm. I prefer Odo. I can't do a good Renee voice.
Odo it is then. You honor me.
Yoren. Yes, Yoren. I remember you. I wrote you a letter of recommendation for Starfleet Academy.
That was you?
Yes.
You honor me twice. Oh, excuse me, Odo.
Yes. Well, Captain, I believe I'm here for one particular reason.
Indeed, Mr. Odo.
You
follow me.
You have a changeling.
Indeed, we do. One not of this universe.
Of course, he's right this way, eagerly awaiting you.
And I assume you've enacted Security Protocol 7?
Yes, all the corridors to our destination are clear. No one aboard other than who you see here is aware of the situation. And Mr. Bull, our Judge Advocate General, with Taffy.
Yeah. Well, of course. One of you make me a control security roll.
That's not me.
Actually, it could be either of you. It's the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't we have people for this sort of thing? What happened to the JAG?
Aren't you the security guy?
Oh yeah, the JAG can make this roll.
Yeah.
This roll. Okay, this is difficulty 1. So, that's not what you want to see. Well, there's good
any
news.
Momentum or anything from the hearing, or
well, we don't know what happened, that good or bad. So I'm sure that's something to be seeing the repercussions of in a later episode.
Yeah. This is all like. I'll say this: there's not bad news, but there's not good news.
Do I hear purring?
I mean, no news is good news.
You know what? Before you said that, I was actually gonna go with it, but I think
I think
now I probably shouldn't.
Ah.
Okay, fine. You're standing in the transporter room and you feel something soft and furry rubbing against your leg.
Hmm. I look down at it.
Wow.
Taffy? Q?
Wow.
The fact that we have to go through multiple names at this point is just.
I pick up the cat. Or I attempt to pick up the cat through, gestures to see if it's okay.
Just kind of looks at you.
Does it let me?
Yeah, it's not fighting you.
All right. Place it over my left shoulder. Start stroking the neck and sideball glancing at it.
It kind of climbs on you, kind of kneads your shoulders with its paws, no claws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if this cat is something else, whatever, it's already aware of the conversation that's gone on in the transporter room. So I see no reason not to continue, given the two likely possibilities.
Oh,
With Q, there's nothing we can do. If it's Taffy, well, we're gonna end up at the same place anyway. So I just basically run with it.
I should say,
Apologies, Founder. I'm sure our security measures were meant for more humanoid measures.
on the cat, you see the N that you recognize as Nemo.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So we continue on.
Okay.
Stroking the cat the whole way.
Very diplomatic.
Just kind of, it kind of rests on your
Chin
shoulder.
Out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now it kind of turns around your neck and kind of now it's over your other shoulder, head forward so it can see where you're going. And you make your way to the quarters.
Yes, I'm sure this is inspiring great confidence from our diplomatic envoys.
I gesture
Odo,
at the door chime for Yoren to press the announcer.
Odo's actually fine with it right now. He's amused, a little befuddled, but amused. So he's bemused.
That's the opposite of amused,
as opposed to a fuddled.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I think
Bemused is an actual word, so you got to be careful there.
Oh, well, he's amused and befuddled. He's just kind of like, not confused. Just
no.
It's like,
doo-doo-doop.
What's changed in Starfleet? Why do they have a cat? And wait, huh? This must be one really well thought of cat. Was this cat like formerly a god?
I mean, considering we're talking about Odo and a Vorda here, the odds of this actually going south are relatively low.
And Captan Rohn's thinking to himself, maybe I should get a sentient parrot.
And an eye patch? Like out of GM, but like an eye patch and a parrot.
Well, one of my main STO characters has an eye patch. So
I mean, that was from the Mirror Universe one that got shanked, so.
No. We have not yet met Mirror Universe Rohn.
Oh. She's probably the one in the other universe that didn't get shanked. The other universe.
Yeah.
All right, so we ding on the door.
Yeah.
The other Denobulan captain.
The one with the Scottish accent? Yeah.
Oh,
so Lieutenant Bull answers it. And door opens. Whoosh. And
Bull
inside,
looks at the cat.
Inside you see Bull with a very quizzical look at the cat. And you also see Taffy in there. So
I look over at the cat and look back.
Yoren steps back from the doorway and gives an ushering motion with the arms. Please enter. Of course, you know how things go.
I assume Luwaran enters first and Odo follows.
Yes.
Protocol. I gesture for Yoren to follow after Odo, and then I follow after, taking up the rear.
Of course.
I close and secure the door behind us.
Not only do you seal it, you also put a force field up around the room.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a thing you can do now.
Yep. Is the cat still on his shoulder?
One that covers all ventilation and everything, and the force field is fine enough to allow gases to pass through, but no solids.
Yeah.
Oh. What about liquids?
No liquids.
Did you bring the cat in, or did you put it out outside the door?
I brought the cat with me.
Okay. The cat is the witness.
Yep. So, and I proceed to introduce Taffy to Odo. Mr. Taffy, this is Odo. Odo, Taffy.
Odo, I've heard and read much about you, sir. It's quite an honor to meet you. Life amongst the solids, finding a way to work together, and now leading the Dominion. You... very different history than what I know. He has a somber look on his face and goes and sits down in a chair. Odo says, well, Taffy, life was not easy. There's far more to my story than what you can read in the very censored biography. I could tell you stories, but if we link, you will know them all. And you see, Taffy, you pose great risk and great opportunity. You are the great curiosity right now. The moment I heard about you, I knew I needed to get to know you. Because the great link in this universe has suffered. We were hit hard not by war, but by disease. Though that was a product of war. And any opportunity we have to find another changeling, to learn from the experiences of another changeling, is one that we must at least pursue. There's no pressure. This is not you being coerced or forced into anything you don't want to do, but it is something to be evaluated. Will, do you want to take on Taffy? So that I'm not talking to myself.
I mean, that would be a little weird, was it? Sorry.
Yeah,
what was the last thing that just happened?
Basically, Odo musing about potential.
Potential.
The opportunity, but not a forced opportunity.
Yes. Not coercing Taffy.
So, Taffy, you're being presented with a choice. What
Taffy
say
just
you?
Taffy just looks at him and says, "If this is what it takes, I guess I am willing." The link is a very personal thing, as I'm sure you are aware.
Very aware.
Just a little out of context, or not out of character here. Don't forget that for changelings outside of Odo, it is not a very personal thing as it would be like, mind invasion, all that. It's second nature to them. It is their nature. Their natural state is to be linked with others. So it's not a violation.
It was until there was a civil war where a third of them decided they wanted to kill the others.
Yes, I'm speaking in general of changelings and all that. So
Good point.
here we have the two most unique changelings in place, probably the only two changelings that we will likely encounter to have this unique perspective. So
Yes.
I just wanted to share that just so our listeners and everyone can appreciate the value of this moment right here.
Yeah, this isn't two people rushing into something. This is two entities actually considering the weight of what they're doing.
Yes, like their biological impetus is to freely connect, but their psychological resistance based on their life history is what's causing the conflict here.
Right. Whereas Odo has always had this resistance. Taffy, up until a couple of years ago, had no resistance, and now quite possibly hasn't linked with anyone since the Civil War started.
Mm-hmm. Well, since leaving the Great Link, the one supposedly separate,
since the link dispersed for their own protection,
right?
I mean, there may have been instances here and there just for the need of sharing information and all of that, but yeah. Anywho,
cool. Time in.
Yeah, time in. We're good. Taffy, I know that this used to be second nature to you, that you never thought twice about linking with anyone, and you had your trust shattered. I was used by my own people. There was a rogue element of the Federation called Section 31 that poisoned me, altered my genetic code, and used me to transmit a disease to the Great Link, basically killing it. And if it was not for the work of our own doctors who found a cure and me going back and spreading that cure, the Great Link would have died in this universe. So
Taffy kind of chuckles to himself. This doesn't really make me feel better.
I don't have that disease anymore. There is no... My genetic code was altered and then altered back.
Oh, I understand. If you had, you don't seem the kind of person who would even be suggesting such a thing in the first place.
And I would not ruin the chance to learn about you by murdering you.
I appreciate that.
That's not what we do.
I see you are about as good as words with I am. So, and he holds his hand out. There is an easier way to do this.
And Odo sees that and reaches his arm out, and they start linking. And still slightly corporeal, but changing into their liquid
hand tentacle-y connection, meldy, linky thing.
If there could be an awkward linky thing, this was an awkward linky thing.
Yeah, this is about as awkward as it is. So they stay linked about 90 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Some stamina.
Well, there's a lot to process on both sides.
Both sharing and processing, yeah.
Yeah, this is Taffy learning about this universe and Odo learning about Taffy's universe.
They take a visit to each other's great lengths in their memories. Scenes of battle flashing before their eyes. Conflicts with other changelings. He sees the other changeling that Odo's been around when they were killed, and Odo sees some of the results of the Civil War fighting against the Vorta.
They finally break apart, and Odo kind of shakes his head and takes a deep breath. Captain, succinctly put, this Taffy has been through hell. You were right to not send him back. And he is, as much as he fears for his life, and still has every right to fear for his life, he is one of the most kind and gentle souls I have ever encountered.
Well, in other circumstances, I'd be pleased to hear this, Taffy. My sincere, heartfelt sorrow to what you have gone through. My sympathies, and you are welcome aboard the Hadfield.
Thank you, Captain. I hope to make a suitable living here to repay my gratitude to you. And of course, Yoren and the rest of your ship. And he bows to Odo.
The question now remains, what do you want to do, Taffy? There are two different distinct opportunities for you, and I think that is something that you need to consider. Am I right, Mr. Odo?
It is. Taffy, I'll complicate life. If you would like to come with me, you are welcome as well. But you would also do well to spend time with this crew, and you are welcome with me anytime.
He looks at Odo with varying shades of doubt going between, yes, I like this Odo guy, but the rest of the changelings I'm not entirely sold on yet. So I remember seeing some of your encounters with others of our solo brethren in the past. I believe that since we are such a long-lived species, perhaps a decade or two to more find my place in this universe would be a start for me.
And perhaps while you're finding yourself, you might find more of us. Who knows?
In which case, I hope I can pass on the same kindness you've shown to me onto them.
That would be beneficial. Odo says, Captain, if that's all, I do have one thing I need to talk to you in private about.
Of course. My quarters?
Yes, that will suffice.
I hand the cat to Yoren.
Does the cat take to Yorn?
Sure.
Yay! You are quite docile today. And Yorn will stick around with Taffy for a while when they go out.
Yeah.
I look over
Just
to
small talking.
Taffy and Bull will say, Taffy, Bull will take care of your new living arrangements. I look forward to meeting with you in the next day or so, check in and see how you're doing, and to figure out what your role will be within the crew of this ship. Good day.
Taffy gives him a respectful nod, and tries to participate in Yoren's cooing over the cat.
I lead Odo out.
Odo
After I'm
says, Luarin, I'll see you in the transporter room.
Cut to quarters.
Yeah.
She's a little reluctant, of course, being the super loyal Vorta she is.
Yes. Captain,
Protective.
I'll be brief. You have another changeling on board.
I suspected as much, but had no evidence. The cat?
No, not the cat. I don't know who. I just can sense a changeling on this ship.
So it's not one sanctioned by the Dominion, then?
Captain, we would never. Not without your knowledge.
Or my higher-ups. They don't tell us captains everything.
Oh, true. He kind of nods and kind of understanding since he is a higher up.
Yeah.
But he's thinking about the things that he's done and hasn't told his captains about. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for that information. Do you have any recommendations on how to root out this infiltrator?
Well,
humanely?
That is the trick.
Because we don't know the nature of this changeling, whether it is a threat or malicious, malevolent. I don't want to just go in assuming, but I do have the safety and sanctity of my ship to deal with.
I had some scientists spend a lot of time figuring out ways to pass the blood test.
They had already solved that one, don't forget. Phaser sweeps are what came later.
Yeah. The phaser sweep is still fairly effective. It just hurts a lot. So if you're looking for humane, plus I'm pretty sure Starfleet is not too fond of phasering their own.
Is there some sort of biological catalyst that can identify changeling DNA or somewhat that does not present a harm to our people or one of yours?
Not that I've been made aware of, but let me get in touch with my scientists and I'll get back to you on that.
If I may make an odd request, I recall reading about a particular locket that had similar to changeling material I was wondering if you might have access to such a thing that we might be able to utilize as a way to safely test, so that we don't even consider asking Taffy or anyone to be a guinea pig to such an experiment.
A locket, you say? We may
You do
have.
recall the one I speak of?
I think we may even have that on board my ship.
I would be ever so grateful.
We'll, if we do indeed have it, we'll send over a care package.
You have my thanks.
Direct to your ready room would be the best place.
Yes, we'll arrange for a site-to-site transport off the book.
All right. We'll do that then, Captain.
Thank you, Mr. Odo. You are always welcome aboard the Hadfield.
Assuming when I'm invited, of course.
Of course.
No, I've heard you've had some uninvited guests.
Can't prove that.
Yes,
What's this locket thing?
Unfortunately, that is the nature of the beast, and being on the frontier of discovery, it puts us in these positions more often than not.
Ah, yes. Well, remember, I served many years on Deep Space Nine.
Indeed.
Life as a security officer was never boring. I hope you have a good one here.
We are all works in progress, and I have faith in my crew.
That is a good thing, Captain. All right. Well, let me get back to my ship, and I will do what I can, and we'll be in touch in the future about that science information for you.
Very well. I'll escort you to the transporter room where we'll meet with your Luwarin.
Yes. And until then, keep Yorin in the loop. There's no reason a changeling would ever impersonate a Vorta.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I was wondering how long it would take you to hay on that.
Wait a second.
It doesn't mean we wouldn't. It's just we have no reason to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally how it came across.
Plus, he was in
he
was in the room, and I didn't detect him in the room.
So that would
of course.
likely mean Mr. Bull is also free.
I swear you guys have both said goodbye 4 times already, and you just
we're walking towards
each of you has to have the last word.
Yeah, it's it's that awkward moment when you say goodbye and then you realize you're both parked in the same direction.
Yeah, you get up from the couch and you say your goodnights and getting on your shoes. You're at the door, and then you end up talking at the door for half an hour, and then you decide to walk them down to the car, and then All right.
Until we meet again, Captain.
5.
May fortune favor you.
6.
He gets up on the transporter. The captain walks over to the transporter controls and beams him and the Forta back over to the Bajoran ship.
7.
That's not saying goodbye.
Can't prove that.
No words were spoken. The transporter was engaged.
They didn't have to be.
It was an unspoken bond.
Their eyes were saying goodbye. Luwarin was flirting with the captain. Okay, fine. All right.
Besides, whenever someone transports, there always has to be an engage or a whatever it usually is. Energize. That's the one.
That's only if you're telling the chief or whoever's at the console to do so. If you're doing it yourself, you don't say energize to yourself.
That's just silly.
All right, Captain, you go back to your ready room, and about 10 minutes later, you receive a small jewelry box right on your desk, and inside a locket.
What is this locket? Did I miss this from Deep Space Nine?
Yep. There's a locket that a fellow had that had changeling properties, and it shaped itself into a key and was used to access a cavern room where this guy had his daughter in stasis. And that was like the first teaser to Odo that there was more out there. Didn't help and led him to search for more answers about his origins.
Well, that's weird.
It was the first seed.
I have to go back and watch that again.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So this may not be the same locket, but it's something that shares the properties.
Yeah, that locket is no longer viable. I think it broke down or whatever. It was given to Odo, and then at some point something happened to it, if I'm not mistaken.
But this is a jewelry box with material in it that has changeling biomimetic properties. Biomorphic properties. There we go. I think that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah, we don't want biomimetic polyalloy.
No, that's
wasn't that a TNG thing that took over Beverly's hand?
Yeah.
So, before we break, the captain calls the emergency medical hologram to his quarters.
What could you possibly want with me?
I have a top secret project for you. Something that cannot be stored anywhere else other than within your matrix. I need you to take this. Hands him the box, opens to show what's in it. I need you to use this to test for humane means to detect the presence of a changeling infiltrator. Something that we can use on our crew, something that will not harm them, but something that will give us a marker of some kind to let us know that they are a changeling and not who they are supposed to be.
Well, isn't that just dandy?
No one but myself is to know, and I mean no one.
Sorry, David. Did you want to do anything else with this doctor?
No, that's fine.
Well, all right. And he takes it and store it in what his holographic matrix.
Well, the knowledge of what he's doing will remain within his matrix, but the object is physical, so he'll just have to secure it in sick bay somewhere that the other living beings and everyone else can't find or have access to.
He'll stick it in a
holographic pocket.
A holographic pocket dimension.
Or stuffed in a hidden corner of a holodeck somewhere. Well, the whole ship is basically holodeck capable, so
yeah.
Just hide it somewhere behind a facade.
Yeah, could do that. He could also stick it in a
place the sun don't shine. Anyway, sorry.
Hey,
no, the one of the where they put dead bodies.
The morgue,
right?
Well, but like the actual
pods,
the stasis tubes, like the drawers.
Yeah,
the little pods in the wall.
Yeah.
I would recommend somewhere more secure than that.
Those are encrypted.
It's something that does not need to be discussed today.
Yes. Yes. You take care of it, make sure it's secure, and we'll go.
Actually, Captain, it's probably better if you don't know where it is.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Excellent. Oh, were we not making egg puns? I'll go scramble this later.
I love it when
Thank
the
you,
doctor is
doctor.
experimenting with new
You're
personalities.
dismissed. Rohn checks
Catch
the
you on the
time.
flip side.
Rohn checks the time and realizes it's time for bed.
Done.
All right. On that note, Guten Nacht. That
C
means
sharp.
good night in German.
D flat.
So, very interesting developments we have here.
There is a traitor among us.
Oh, there's always a traitor among us. And in the end, we'll pull off their mask and it'll be Dr. Jones all along.
And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling cadets.
Nice one. But yes, if you can't feel that this is starting to ramp up, I'm trying here. This is the first bit that's starting to sow the seeds of the end of the season.
Dun, 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 dun.
Overarching storyline plots.
Yes.
No.
And you just said last week that we were episodic. No, we're not. Like, everything has had a point to get us to this time.
Well, it wasn't DS9 for the most part episodic, but like the last 5 minutes of every episode was an overarching storyline.
Something like that.
Or is that one of the other? Was that some other series?
In the
I watched all
beginning,
time?
it must have been something else. DS9 started out very episodic and then developed to be very strongly half arc, half episode plot.
Yeah.
Main plot and subplot. Main plot was continuous. Subplot was episodic.
Yeah.
It was all about the
or
great
the other way
material
around.
continuum.
And I kind of like, I'm trying to do some storytelling that way. Is there's one big main plot that is continuous, all tied together, very timey-wimey, and there's hints of it here and there. And then there's a subplot that exists independently of it all. But
And it's the fact that Brasha's a changeling.
boy, that would be good. Why'd you have to go and ruin that one?
Sorry. Spoilers.
No
Sorry.
conjecture on air.
I mean, she could be
Brasha
too.
is hiding in the engine room right now. That's our changeling.
Brasha is Vax.
Hey.
What? And it is in fact
No, they've
one
actually-
changeling in two bodies.
Again, that would be awesome. Not
really
reality, but that would be awesome.
Have you ever heard of a schizophrenic changeling? Nope. Well, now we have one.
But now we have 3.
Now we have 4.
Cellular mitosis. Split. I am the
All
same.
right. On that note, I'm stopping it so that I can tell a joke off air.
Cool. Night,
All
everybody.
right. Good night.
Night, folks.